Thank you. That was awesome. Look, our next guest is an award-winning Hollywood screenwriter and author. We are so lucky to have him here today. Brian Godawa. You're a busy man these days.
Yes, I am.
That's awesome. That's great. Hollywood, that is a hot button, whether you're in the secular world or the Christian world. And you, and I know you're a God-loving man and a strong Christian, and you're in the middle of a pretty dark industry. How did the Lord place you in that?
Well, it's just been a passion of mine, sort of a cliche, actually. It's been a passion of mine ever since I was a little kid. I always wanted to make movies. So, unfortunately, there's nothing fancy beyond that.
Okay.
I've worked at it for many years, and it takes a while before you can break in sometimes.
That's awesome. And speaking of breaking in, you're doing it in a big way, because you've got a major release coming out in October.
Yeah.
A film starring Kiefer Sutherland.
And Robert Carlyle.
And the name of the film is To End All Wars. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Give us a sneak peek.
It's based on a true story about Allied prisoners of war in World War II, and how they suffered under the Japanese in some concentration camps over in Thailand, which is Burma Siam at the time. And it tells the story from the Allied perspective as they were forced to build a railroad. At the same time, they sought to find hope and dignity in the midst of their suffering, and they did so when Christianity actually came into the camp and affected the men's lives.
Okay, and so how did Christianity come into the camp? Can you give us kind of a brief overview?
Well, roughly what happened was they started to build a little university of teaching to give the men some hope and dignity, so they would teach Plato and Shakespeare, and one of them had a Bible. And they started teaching the Bible as well, the ethics of Jesus, and then they started to apply the ethics to themselves, and they went from selfish survival of the fittest into self-sacrifice, and this is the story that they experienced.
Wow. And we got a clip. You brought an actual clip. So can you set up the clip?
Real briefly, what it is the scene you're going to see is the Allied prisoners of war have their Bible and they're teaching it along with other books like from Plato and the like. And the Japanese did not like that. They didn't want them to be doing that. So they found the books and they confiscated the Bible. And this scene you're going to see is the prisoner of war trying to convince the commander of the camp to let them have the Bible back because it'll actually help them be better prisoners.
Oh, that's great. Well, can we cue that up?
This book teaches to turn the other cheek. We read these books and we become better slaves for the emperor.
聖書は罰を受け入れるよう彼らに教えていると彼は言っております。He says the book is superstition.
Wow. That's awesome, man. You see the clip. You're going to go to the big screen. You're going to see that. What does that make you feel inside?
Well, I feel actually honored and privileged to be able to be a part of this story. It's actually Ernest Gordon's original book called Through the Valley of the Kwai. And I feel honored and privileged to be a part of being able to tell his story. It's way beyond any of us involved in the production.
That's so great. That guy, he's awesome, isn't he? And you're so busy, you got a book too. You're an author, and the name of the book is Hollywood Worldviews. Watching films with wisdom and discernment. Okay, there's lots of people out here with kids, and we got families everywhere. What does this mean?
Well, I wrote the book because I felt that in the church there were two extremes that I would come across. People who'd watch too many movies without discernment, and those people I would call cultural gluttons. And then you have the other extreme, which is people who, because of there's some bad things in movies, they throw them all out and don't watch any of them, and that I would call cultural anorexics. And I felt that the Bible really communicates to us that we need to be involved redemptively within our culture to be able to interact, and the only way we can do so is to have an intelligent understanding of what's going on around us. So we can't have too much and we can't have too little, and we have to be discerning about how we do intake and what we intake.
And the Lord leads us in that, doesn't He?
Yeah.
That's awesome. This book, in bookstores everywhere?
Yeah, it's InterVarsity Press. You can buy it on Amazon.com.
InterVarsity Press, Amazon.com. Brian Godawa, God is moving in a huge way through this man, so let's give him a round of applause and just send him on our way, huh?